So
Right.
it's a stark contrast to the kind of discussions that you will have in Tianjin.
Well, absolutely. Ambassador Sajjan, stark contrast, but would you agree that this was a very crucial visit, and clubbing Japan with the China visit that was because of SCO certainly is clear messaging from Indian side?
Absolutely. And thank you very much, Geeta. I think in the past also, if you remember the first visit that Prime Minister Modi had undertaken to China, he'd gone to Mongolia, he'd gone to South Korea along with those visits. And I think sometime later, again, when he went to China, he also came to Vietnam. So I think the Prime Minister always tries to balance those visits. The second point that I would like to make is, that is a visit to Tianjin and China is an international commitment. It is the annual summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Barring last year when Prime Minister could not go because of the parliament session in India immediately after the elections here, and 2023 when we were hosting our own summit, Prime Minister Modi has attended all SCO summits. So that was a given. But I think coming to Japan, particularly in the context of the geopolitical changes, the turbulence and the flux that is taking place, I think for bilateral reasons in terms of strengthening the economic and strategic cooperation, also sending out a message, as has been mentioned, to China, but also sending out a message to the United States, because both India and Japan are at the receiving end as far as the tariffs from Mr. Trump are concerned. So I think on a variety in a variety of perspectives, this was a very significant visit. And if you look at the outcomes, Geeta, then of course the significance and the importance of this visit in bilateral context, regional and global context increases all the more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to meet the Chinese President Xi Jinping during his first visit to China in the last 7 years. These talks come at a time when we are seeing global economic turmoil and Trump's tariff tyranny. But to understand, let's look at what's at stake. But to understand what's at stake at the moment, we must also look back. From Wuhan to Galwan to BRICS, the Modi-Jinping story has swung between bonhomie to a complete breakdown. But can this meeting actually reset? Can this change the ties between India and China? Take a look.
Two Asian giants meet again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping will hold talks in Tianjin on August 31st. This is Prime Minister Modi's first visit to China since the Galwan clash of 2020, which pushed bilateral ties to their lowest in decades. But this is not the first time the two leaders have sought to reset relations. In 2019, Xi Jinping traveled to the historic coastal town of Mamallapuram for the second India-China informal summit. Images of Modi and Xi visiting ancient monuments send strong optics of civilizational bonding. Just a year earlier, the two leaders had held their first informal summit in Wuhan. The Wuhan Consensus was built as a reset in ties, stressing that differences must not turn into disputes amid Doklam standoff tensions. Modi's first major visit to China came in 2015. The chemistry was on display. Modi became the first world leader to be received by Xi in his hometown Xi'an. Then came the Galwan clash in 2020, breaking the fragile trust. For 2 years, Modi and Xi had no substantive engagement. A brief handshake at the G20 summit in Bali in 2022 marked Prime Minister Modi's first public contact with Xi Jinping since Galwan. A year later in Johannesburg, another brief conversation on the sidelines of BRICS signaled the need for continued dialogue. Their last meeting came in October 2024 at the BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia. That meet helped push forward disengagement at friction point in Ladakh.
Great pleasure to meet you in Kazan.
From Mamallapuram's optics to Galwan's rupture, the Modi-Xi story swings between smiles and standoffs. All eyes now on Tianjin. Can this reset really hold? Bureau Report, India Today.
Amid the tariff war that we are seeing taking place globally, Indian ambassador all set to meet US Democrats. Ambassador said he shared India's thoughts on trade with the United States of America. Just a couple of days back, we had seen how the Democratic Party had come out with a statement, and they had said the decades-old relationship between US and India was actually moving southwards because of the tariffs that were being levied by the US administration. And with regards to that, we are now seeing amid the Trump global tariff war that is taking place, the Indian ambassador to the United States of America has met with the Democrats in the US. In a statement, the ambassador said that India has now shared its thoughts with trades happening with the United States of America. This is a clear signal coming in. My colleague Rohit Sharma is now joining us on the story. Rohit, just a couple of days back, we had seen how the Democratic Party came out with a statement. They were not happy the way things were, the way relationship was drastically changing, moving southwards between India and the US. Now, the Indian ambassador has had a conversation with the Democratic Party.
Well, look, he met the Indian ambassador, Mr. Quatra. He met with David Stricker today. He is, the chair of the Joint Economic Committee. And, the readout that we got is that he was able to share India's perspective on not only on, trade, but also importance of fair and balanced beneficial trade engagement. I think that speaks to how important it is to be able to talk to other American politicians / people who are in charge of looking at the trade policy. And he was also, and if you look at the readout, he also was able to make clear India's position in ending the conflict and wanted to do, he said he wanted to do this through dialogue and diplomacy. So I think there's a lot going on in Washington, D.C., and India is doubling down on making sure that even if there are people around President Trump who are not able to understand India's position on certain things, but they are talking and engaging with powerful politicians across the aisle to ensure that India can be heard, A, and B, also there could be a resolution that could lead to a trade deal and also making sure that those additional tariffs could go away.
Right. Thank you, Rohit, giving us all those details. Conversations happening across the aisle, as my colleague Rohit just pointed out. India is now making sure that its voice is heard across the spectrum in the United States of America. On that note, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Thank you for watching India Today. For more news and updates, you can log on to indiatoday.in. You can even download the app. This is me, Ashwara Paliwal, signing off.
You are watching India Today.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
How is he always winning?
Gotta have some spin, never bending, dripping in, dripping like so clean.
Moto G96 5G.